We have our devotees on the rota who will be reciting. It's a very special evening. We will have His Grace Kartik Chandra Prabhu joining us to give us his association this evening for Chad. He will enlighten us on the text 11.21 today because we just finished 11.20 yesterday. So I'm going to share my screen and we can begin the recitation, and then Kartik Chandra Prabhu will join us shortly in 10 minutes. And then he'll take us through the verse 11.21. I'm going to mute everybody so there is no background noise. So I'm sure the devotees know who are chanting the chapter today, so they can unmute themselves and then start the recitation of the chapter. It's chapter 11 with the invocation prayers. And then, so those two devotees who are on the rota, please unmute yourself and begin the recitation.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapter 11, the Universal Form. Text 1. Arjuna Uvacha Madanugrahaya Paramam Guhyam Adhyatma Samjinitam Yat Bhaktam Vachasteno Mohoyam Vijato Mama.
Arjuna said, by my hearing the instructions you have kindly given me about this most confidential spiritual subject, my illusion has now been dispelled.
Text 2. Bhavapyayo hi bhutanam Shrutal Vishtarasho Maya Tvataha Kamala Praktrashya Mahatmyam Apichavyayam.
O lotus-eyed one, I have heard from you in detail about the appearance and disappearance of every living entity and have realized your inexhaustible glories.
Text 3. Eva mitadyata tattvam atmanam parameshvara drishtumichami te rupam aishvaram purushottamam.
O greatest of all personalities, O supreme form, though I see you here before me in your actual position, as you have described yourself, I wish to see how you have entered into this cosmic manifestation. I want to see that form of yours.
Text 4. Manyasya chakshakyam maya drishtumiti prabho yogeshvaro tato metvam drishtayatmanam avyayam.
If you think that I am able to behold your cosmic form, O my Lord, O Master of all mystic power, then kindly show me that unlimited universal self.
Text 5. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Pashyami Partharupani Shashtashosta Sahasrasaha Nanavidhani Divyani Nana Varnakritini Cha.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, O son of Pritha, see now my opulences, hundreds of thousands of varied, divine and multicolored forms.
Text 6. Pashya Dityan Pashun Rudran Ashwino Marutat Tatha Bahuni Adrista Purvani Pashyascha Riyani Bharata.
O best of the Bharatas, see here the different manifestation of Adityas, Vasus, Rudras, Ashwini Kumaras, and all the other demigods. Behold the many wonderful things which no one has ever seen or heard of before.
Text 7. Ahai Iha Katstam Jagat Krishnam Pashyadya Sa Characharam Mamadehi Gudakesha Yachak Nyad Drishtum Ichasi.
O Arjuna, whatever you wish to see, behold at once in this body of mine. This universal form can show you whatever you now desire to see and whatever you may want to see in the future. Everything, moving and non-moving, is here completely in one place.
Text 8. Natumam shakriyase drishtum ananeva svachakshusha divyam dadami te chakshuhu pashyame yogamashwaram.
But you cannot see me with your present eyes. Therefore, I give you divine eyes. Behold my mystic opulence.
Text 9. Sanjaya Vacha Eva Muktva Tatarajam Mahayogeshwara Harihi Drishtayam Ashaparthayam Paramam Rupam Aishwaram.
Sanjaya said, O king, having spoken thus, the supreme lord of all mystic power, the personality of Godhead, displayed his universal form to Arjuna.
Texts 10 and 11. Anekavaktra Nayanam Anekadabhatu Darshanam Aneka Divya Paranam Divya Neko Jyatayudaham Divya Malayam Baradharam Divya Gantanulepanam Sarvascharyamayam Devam Anantam Vishvatomukham.
Arjuna saw in that universal form unlimited mouths, unlimited eyes, unlimited wonderful visions. The form was decorated with many celestial ornaments and bore many divine upraised weapons. He wore celestial garlands and garments, and many divine scents were smeared over his body. All was wondrous, brilliant, unlimited, all expanding.
Text 12. Devi Shurya Sahasrasya Bhave Dyuga Padutita Yadi Baha Sadrishi Sasyad Bahastasya Mahatmanaha.
If hundreds of thousands of suns were to rise at once into the sky, their radiance might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universal form.
Text 13. Tatrekastham Jagat Krishnam Pravai Bhaktam Anekadha Apashyad Deva Devasya Sharire Pandavastada.
At that time, Arjuna could see in the universal form of the Lord the unlimited expansions of the universe situated in one place, although divided into many, many thousands.
Sorry, I'm just reading from the book. Yeah. Text 14. Tathasa Vishva Nayam Vishtu Hrishtaro Madhananjayaha Pranayam Sharishya Devam Kritanjali Abhashata.
Then, bewildered and astonished, his hair standing on end, Arjuna bowed his head to offer obeisances and with folded hands began to pray to the Supreme Lord.
Text 15. Arjuna Vacha Pashyami Devam Stava Deva Dehe Sarvam Tatha Bhuta Vishesha Sangaha Brahmanamisham Kamalasanatham Rishim cha Sarvam Ugranscha Divyan.
Arjuna said, My dear Lord Krishna, I see assembled in your body all the demigods and various other living entities. I see Brahma sitting on the lotus flower, as well as Lord Shiva and all the sages and divine serpents.
Text 16. Aneka Bahu Dravaktra Netram Pashyami Tvam Sarvatonantarupam Nantam Namatyam Napunastavadim Pashyami Vishveshva Vishvarupa.
O Lord of the universe, O universal form, I see in your body many, many arms, bellies, mouths, and eyes expanded everywhere without limit. I see in you no end, no middle, and no beginning.
17. Kirtinam Gadidam Chakranam Cha Tejo Rashim Sarvadudipdimantam Pashyami Tvam Durnikrishyam Samantad Dipdanaraka Jyutimaratmeyam.
Your form is difficult to see because of its glaring effulgence spreading on all sides, like blazing fire or the immeasurable radiance of the sun. Yet I see this glowing form everywhere, adorned with various crowns, clubs, and discs.
Text 18. Tvamaksharam paramam veditavyam Tvamasya vishvasya param nidhanam Tvamavyaya shasvata dharma gupta Sanatanastvam purusho mama mato me.
You're the supreme primal objective. You're the ultimate resting place of all this universe. You're inexhaustible and you're the oldest. You're the maintainer of eternal religion, the personality of Godhead. This is my opinion.
Text 19. Anadimatu yantamananta viryam Ananta bahum shashi surya netram Pashyami tvandita hutashavakram Svatejasha vishvamidam tapantam.
You are without origin, middle, or end. Your glory is unlimited. You have numberless arms, and the sun and the moon are your eyes. I see you with blazing fire coming forth from your mouth, burning this entire universe by your own radiance.
Text 20. Dyava partvitroidam anantaram hi vyaptam tvayekena dishascha sarvaha Dristvad bhutanam rupamogram tavedam Loka trayam pravyatitam mahatmana.
Although you are one, you spread throughout the sky and the planets and all the space between. O Great One, seeing this wondrous and terrible form, all the planetary systems are perturbed.
Text 21. Amihitvam sura sangha vishanti kechit vitaha pranjala yogranti swasti chi uktav maharishi siddha sangaha stvavanti tvad stuti bihi pushkalabhihi.
All the hosts of demigods are surrendering before you and entering into you. Some of them, very much afraid, are offering prayers with folded hands. Hosts of great sages and perfected beings crying, all peace, are praying to you by singing the Vedic hymns.
Text 22. Rudra Ditya Vasvaso Ye Cha Sadhya Vishveshvinu Marutascha Smapascha Gandharva Yaksha Shura Siddha Sangha Vikshanti Vishmitaschaiva Sarve.
All the various manifestations of Lord Shiva, the Adityas, the Vasus, the Sadhyas, the Vishvedevas, the two Ashvis, the Maruts, the forefathers, the Gandharvas, the Yakshas, the Asuras, and the perfect demigods are beholding you in wonder.
Text 23. Rupam Mahate Bahuvaktra Netram Mahabahu Bahu Bahu Rupadam Bahudramam Bahudamstra Karalam Tristva Lokaha Prayati Tastatham.
O mighty armed one, all the planets with their demigods are disturbed at seeing your great form, with its many faces, eyes, arms, thighs, legs, and bellies, and your many terrible teeth. And as they are disturbed, so am I.
Text 24. Nabha Sprisham Diptamaneka Varnam Vyatananam Dipta Vishalanetram Dristva Hitvam Pravyatitantar Atma Dritim Navindami Sharam Cha Vishnu.
O all-pervading Vishnu, seeing you with your many radiant colors touching the sky, your gaping mouths and your great glowing eyes, my mind is perturbed by fear. I can no longer maintain my steadiness or equilibrium of mind.
Text 25. Damstra karalani chate mukani dristvaiva kalana lasani bhani disho na jane nalapecha sharma prasida devesha jagan nivasa.
O Lord of Lords, O refuge of the worlds, please be gracious to me. I cannot keep my balance seeing thus your blazing death-like faces and awful teeth. In all directions I'm bewildered.
Text 26 and 27. Ami chetvam drishtrasya. Ami chetvam drishtarashya putraha sarve sahaivavani palasangahe. Vishmudrona sruta putrastatasu sahasmadiyerapi yodhamukhaye kaihi. Vatrani te tvaramana vishanti tamashtrakaralani vayanakani kechid vilanga dashanantareshu sandrishyanti charnutir uttamangahi.
All the sons of Dhritarashtra, along with their allied kings, and Bhishma, Drona, and Karna, and our chief soldiers also, are rushing into your fearful mouth, and some I see trapped with heads smashed between your teeth.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Gata Mataji, and to Rajesh Prabhu. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. I hope everybody's feeling better, having tuned into the transcendental vibration of these wonderful verses from the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. It's a very nice chapter. It gives a perspective of how the Lord actually not just is transcendentally situated, but even to look at this Virat form, it gives a different perspective which Arjuna had. And of course, after which he felt probably wasn't a great idea to ask to see the form because he felt quite bewildered, as we heard. So now, without any delay, I would like to invite and welcome His Grace Kartik Chandra Prabhu. Kartik Chandra Prabhu doesn't require an invitation, introduction. He's a very well-known personality in our community at Bhaktivedanta Manor and generally throughout the United Kingdom. He was, of course, born in a very wonderful Vaishnava family. He's a disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami. He and his good wife, Shriji Sundari Mataji. They are both really wonderful Vaishnavas in our community who are tirelessly working to spread the message of Srimad Bhagavatam to as many people as possible. That's his life and soul beyond many other things which Kartik Chand Prabhu does or knows very well. But his heart is in Srimad Bhagavatam. And why not? We should all have our heart in Srimad Bhagavatam. So I'm very fortunate, and I'm sure everybody is feeling the same, that we have the good fortune of welcoming Kartik Chand Prabhu on this Wednesday evening on this chapter a day of Bhagavad Gita, which we started in lockdown. And if anybody's joining in for the first time, welcome to those members as well. So here we recite a chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day, and if a chapter is long, we divide it into two parts, and then we recite it over 4 weeks each part. So right now we are on the first part of the 11th chapter, reciting 27 verses every day, and getting tuned and also worshiping the Lord. As he says, those who study the sacred conversation of mine, Arjuna, they worship me with their intelligence. So that's what we are trying to do, actually. And I'm sure all of you have been thoroughly enjoying reciting these verses. So Kartik Chand Prabhu, warm welcome from our side, from the chat team, from on my behalf, from Vrindavan Chand Prabhu and Mukunda Hari Prabhu, who are regularly trying to take up this service and chant a chapter of Bhagavad Gita with the devotees. We also have Madhu Kumari Mataji, who tunes in once every 2 weeks now. And we like to invite our guest speakers every now and then, especially on Wednesdays. So welcome, Kartik Chand Prabhu, and thank you for giving us your association. And we are looking forward to hearing from you on text 21 from the 11th chapter. So welcome, Prabhu. I'm going to make you host.
Okay.
Jai, I'm feeling not only okay, I'm feeling much better after seeing your effulgent face, Kartik.
um,
Yes,
should
you're a host. Yes, Prabhu,
I
please.
share
Over
my
to you.
screen? Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay. Let me know when you can see it.
Yes, we
Yes,
can
we
see.
can see. Yeah.
Yeah. It's. Is it full screen or? Yeah. It's full screen now. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Thank you very much for inviting me here. I am very grateful to all of you that you are taking your time out every day and doing this Bhagavad Gita chapter a day. And my sincere thanks to Divyanand Prabhu, Vrindarika Mataji, Vrindavan Chandra Prabhu, Mukundhari Prabhu, Madhu Kumari Mataji, and everyone else who is involved in this wonderful endeavor. And I hope all of you are well, your families are well, and this difficult time is bringing you closer to Krishna. So I was asked last evening by Divyanam Prabhu if I could do this text 1121, and I've just managed to put together a few slides. So I beg your forgiveness for not being able to prepare properly for this session. So I'll start with a little prayer and then go into the subject. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswata Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this chapter of Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 11, it focuses on the universal form of the Lord, or Vishwarupa. And Arjuna specifically requests Krishna to show him the universal form, right in the middle of the battlefield. And in the middle of the battlefield where they have gathered to essentially fight. And the fight is for conquering the earth. The fight is to rule the earth. And who have gathered? On both sides are strong warriors. And these warriors are not ordinary soldiers. In fact, the side that Krishna is facing, so this side is the side of the Kauravas. The Kaurava army had the entire Sena of Krishna, and all those soldiers were actually Devatas personified. They were all demigods who had appeared in the form of Yadus. And this Yadu Sena, Yadav Sena, was on the side of Duryodhan, because when Krishna had asked Arjuna and Duryodhan, who would you like, me who will not fight or my entire army? Of course, Duryodhan, thinking that the army is more important than a non-fighting warrior, let alone what if it's Krishna. So Duryodhan went and chose the army. So these were not ordinary soldiers. And in fact, even on the Pandava side, great personalities were there, and all of them were either very, very blessed by the demigods and higher beings, or they were extremely powerful. So both the sides had seen, great spirit of fight. And this fight was to conquer the land or earth, which is made ultimately of dust, of mud. And the whole fight was just for gaining more mud, gaining more dust. So this particular verse is beautiful. It says, Ami hitvam surasangha vishanti. As Arjuna was looking at Krishna and Krishna showed his universal form, Arjuna could see that entering into the mouths, vishanti, entering into the mouths of Krishna were surasangaha, were many, many, many suras. Now different acharyas have given different sense of this word surasangaha. Sangaha means a group, congregation. Sura means demigods, and Sura also means warriors. So Arjuna could see all the warriors entering into the mouth of this universal form. But Arjuna could also see that these warriors were not ordinary, they were demigods themselves. And as they were entering into the mouths, kechid bhitah, many were afraid, bhitah, they were afraid. Pranjalayo grananti, they were with folded hands like this, and with folded hands they were praying out of fear as they were entering into the mouth of the Lord. Yet others, Maharshi Siddha Sangah, great sages and Siddhas. Siddhas are beings that by birth, like humans by birth are born with eyes with which you can see. Now if somebody says, oh wow, look at this child, he can see, it's not a fascinating thing because all children can see. Well, generally speaking, all children can see. Or, we don't say, wow, it is amazing that somebody can feel, or somebody is born with hair on their hands. It's not amazing, it's ordinary. Similarly, in the Siddhaloka, it is ordinary that the child, when they are born with all the Ashta Siddhis. There are 8 perfections, yogic perfections. And the children from birth, they have those perfections. So one yogic siddhi is that you can fly. So in Siddhaloka, the children which are born, when they want to go and have their mother's milk, they don't cry for the mother to come. They just fly to the mother from birth. So these are extraordinary beings in higher planets. And in other cultures, these beings, siddhas, are known as angels. So these siddhas and maharshis, the great rishis, they were all crying out, swasti, swasti, swasti. Swasti means, please, let it be good. Whatever is going to happen next, let it be good. Let all be good. Because they were also worried and scared. Stuvanti, tvam stutibhi, pushkalabhi. Pushkalabhi means many, many, many different stuti. Stuti means many prayers were being sung. So Arjuna had this great vision where Krishna and his Vishwarupa was the cause of the destruction and also the cause of ultimate shelter of all of the demigods, all of the siddhas, and all of the rishis. And that vision, that grand vision, is what Arjuna had. Now, why did Arjuna ask for such a vision? One may ask. Ultimately, the whole war was to conquer the earth, which is nothing but dust, mud. And actually, even as devotees, we also want dust. We also want mud. So we are also having this war. But our war is a different type of war. What is that war? I will explain a little later. But Arjuna, why he asked Krishna, show me your universal form? And Krishna could not show Arjuna the universal form directly. He had to give Arjuna special eyes, special power by which he could see the universal form. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, the reason generally devotees are not concerned with seeing the Vishwarupa, the universal form, but Arjuna wanted to see it to substantiate Krishna's statements so that in the future people could understand that Krishna not only theoretically or philosophically presented himself as the Supreme, but actually presented himself as such to Arjuna. Because only the Supreme Person can have everything in him or can be everything. So that's why you see here the Lord expanded into every single being in creation. And that's the universal form that Arjuna saw. Now, sometimes the devotee would ask for the Lord to show their form just to prove to those who are less intelligent that this is actually the Supreme Lord. Is not an ordinary person. So we find even in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in Adi Leela, I believe, chapter 3 or chapter 13, I think, it is said how Advaita Acharya, he once asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu, you are the Supreme Person. And just to establish that you are indeed the Supreme Person and to put it on the record, please show me your universal form. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually showed Advaita Acharya his universal form. He expanded himself into the universal form. And this is required not for a cup of tea. This is required for, for correcting or for determining who is a false avatar and who is a real avatar. One of the determining factors is that a real avatar can show his universal form. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also showed his universal form. But there is, for example, one very famous Bhagwan in India. And how he became Bhagwan, he was once very tired from his day job. He came home and he went outside his house in the veranda and he was having a cup of tea. And as he was having a cup of warm tea, he just had a realization that he is God. He understood that he is God. And people started worshipping him as God. So this kind of God, Srila Prabhupada would say, and he said in the Bhagavatam, this kind of God should be challenged. This cheap incarnation should be challenged. Show me your universal form if you are God. So this Virat Roop is for them. So for the general mass of people, the indication is that one should ask the cheap incarnation to exhibit his Virat Rupa and thus be established as an incarnation. Now, what is said in this particular verse about the demigods worshipping Krishna or the Virat Rupa and the Maharshis and the Siddhas, I just want to give you some perspective of what we are talking. We are somewhere over here where my arrow is. That's where Earth is. Below Earth are all these different planets, these 7 planets which are below the Earth: Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, Patala. These are all hellish planets. And below the hellish planets is the Narakaloka, where the 27 hells are there, where the sinful souls are punished. Now, above the earth are many, many luminaries. You have the Rahu and Ketu, and the region between the plane of the earth and this Rahu and Ketu, or even up to the sun actually, is where the Siddhas, Vidyadharas and Charanas live. So this particular area is where the Siddhas live, the beings who are born with all the Siddhis. And then if you go still higher, beyond the sun, and from between sun and the moon, then you find even higher beings living there. And from moon upwards, up to Dhruva Loka. Dhruva Loka is the pole star or the north star. Between the moon and the north star is the Swarga Loka, which is where all of the demigods reside in different planetary systems. And you also have the 28 asterisms, Venus, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, all of the other planets are over here. And many trillions of stars are there. Now, above the Dhruva Loka is Mahar Loka, where all the Maharshis reside, which are mentioned in this particular verse. And then if you go further up, Jana Loka, Tapa Loka, you will ultimately reach Brahma Loka or Satya Loka, which is where Lord Brahma resides. And Lord Brahma is the highest level that one can achieve in the material world. And even Lord Brahma, with his 4 mouths, which emanates the Vedas, is constantly reciting the glories of the Supreme Lord. He is the father of every living entity. All the Manus come from him. And from the Manus, ultimately we are born. And hence we are known as Manushya, or from Manu, we are known as man in English. So, if I was to say that you have the ability to rule the entire earth, everything that is there on earth belongs to you. Every person belongs to you. Every creature belongs to you. Every grain of sand belongs to you. You can do as you please with whatever, whoever, it's all yours. Can you imagine how happy you would be? Or would you? If you were to go right up to the top, Brahmaloka, in the planet of Brahma, you know how much happiness does he have? Does he experience? Now one might wonder, how do we quantify this? So in Taittiriya Upanishad, it is mentioned in Brahmananda Valli how there are different gradations of happiness from earth upwards. The Siddhas, the Devatas, which are the Suras, the Maharishis, and further up, they are all, Brahma himself, they are all experiencing varying level of bliss. And what is Brahma's bliss compared to the bliss of someone who rules the entire earth? The bliss that Brahma experiences, the happiness that he experiences, is 10 to the power 20. So that's 1 followed by 20 zeros multiplied by the bliss of ruling the earth. Can you imagine how much happy Brahma is? His happiness is this, according to the Upanishads. So he must be really fortunate. It seems that, you know, if I could go up to Brahma Loka, then I'm the most fortunate. But in this verse it is said that even the Devatas, the Suras, headed by Brahma, Sura Sangaha. Sangaha means congregation. In a congregation there is always a leader. And the leader of the congregation of the demigods is Brahma. So indirectly it is mentioned Brahma along with the demigods was worshipping Krishna, and that is what Arjuna saw. So there seems to be something that Brahma wants, even though he seems to have so much. And Brahma, in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, we find Brahma prays. About fortune, we think Brahma is the most fortunate, but he is thinking somebody is even more fortunate than him. And who is that? He says, Aho bhagyam, aho bhagyam. Oh, what a fortune! Oh, what a fortune! Nanda Gopa Vrajaukasam. What fortune do these residents of Vraj have? The residents of Vraj who are ruled by Nanda Maharaj, what is their fortune? Why are they so fortunate? Brahma thinks. Yan mitram paramanandam. These residents of Vraj, their friend, their fellow man, their relative is Paramanandam, is the personification of the highest form of bliss. Purnam Brahma Sanatanam. He is himself complete supreme personality of Godhead, and he has become their friend, their relative. How fortunate is Maharaj Nanda, Mother Yashoda, and all of these Vrajavasis. In fact, we can see that Krishna wants to take the dust of the sandals of Nanda Maharaj. Actually, these paintings are not ordinary. If one sees here carefully, one sees a little ball here. And the significance is that when little Krishna would hear that Nanda Maharaj is going for his conference with the Gopas, Krishna would run. He would drop his ball, leave it aside, and run to get the sandals of Nanda Maharaj. And he would carry those sandals on his head. So, somebody is talking in the background, or can you mute yourself, please? So, Nanda Maharaj is so fortunate. That is what Brahma is saying. That Krishna, like children, they are attached to play. Sometimes they don't listen to their parents because they're too engrossed and absorbed in that play. But Krishna is so eager to serve Nanda Maharaj. Looking at their great fortune, Krishna eagerly playing with the Gopas. Brahma actually prays. What does he pray? Tad bhuri bhagyam. That is my greatest fortune, Brahma is saying. His greatest fortune. Brahma says, Tad bhuri bhagyam. Bhagyam means fortune. What is the greatest fortune that Brahma desires? Iha janma kimapyatavyam. I desire the great fortune, Brahma says, to be born in some forest grove in Vrindavan. Yad gokulepi katamangri rajobhishekam. Why do I desire that? Yad gokulepi. I want to be born somewhere as a creeper in Gokul. Not even a creeper, maybe a particle of dust in Gokul. In Gokul meaning in Vraj. Why do I want to be born there? Katamangri rajobhishekam. So that I may be blessed with the abhishek. Abhishek means with a shower of the raj, of the dust, of the lotus feet, angri, katama, of any of the devotees of Vraj. As the devotees of Vraj may walk past, they may step on me. And by stepping on me, that is my highest fortune. That is the highest bliss. Yajjivitam tu nikhilam Bhagavan Mukundas. Why are they so special? Why are these Brajavasis so special? Yajjivitam tu nikhilam Bhagavan Mukunda. They are simply living for Krishna's pleasure. Hence, they are the highest. Tvadyapi yat padaracha shruti mrugyameva. They are simply living for the pleasure of Mukunda, That Mukunda, whose particle of dust, yat pada rajaha, shruti murugyameva, even the four Vedas are unable to find. Even the four Vedas personified want to get a little speck of dust of Mukunda. They are unable to get. That Mukunda himself is residing with the Vrajavasis, and hence Brahma resides, he gets a boon, and he becomes a mountain in Vraj called Brahmagiri Parvat. And if you go to Brahmagiri Parvat, you will see this is from Brahmagiri Parvat. The little temple of Brahmaji is there. So Brahmagiri Parvat is the Parvat which, or Parvat meaning the mountain or the hill on which Vrishabhanu Maharaj made his little village called as Vrishabhanupur or Barsano. And this Varshana or Barsano is a little village surrounding the hill of Brahmagiri, which is personification of Brahma. This is the perfection of Brahma. So when Arjuna is looking at the universal form and he's seeing Brahma leading all the suras, Sangaha, as it is mentioned in the verse, he is having a realization of the supremacy of the Lord, whom even Brahma, the most fortunate being, takes shelter. And through that, Arjuna realizes the supremacy of the devotees of the Lord, whose dust Brahma seeks. And this universal form Krishna also shows to Mother Yashoda. He shows Mother Yashoda how the entire universes, all the universes are in his mouth. Now somebody might say, well, to Arjuna, Krishna showed himself as the universal form, but to Mother Yashoda, he showed the universe in his mouth. Why did he not expand himself and show the universe? Somebody might ask. This is so beautiful. Krishna, before he was asked to open his mouth, the reason he was asked to open his mouth was because he had eaten some dust, some mud of Vrindavan, of Vraj. Vraja Raja. He had eaten some mud. And when Mother Yashoda asked him to open his mouth, the specks of mud were in his mouth. And when Krishna showed the universal form, as in the entire universe, in his mouth, the Acharyas have explained, the understanding is that a single speck of mud of Vrindavan, of Vraj, is greater than the entire creation. So that is the mud of Vrindavan in which Krishna actually rejoices. When he is learning how to crawl, he catches hold of a tail of a calf, and the calf becomes scared and starts running and skidding Krishna and taking Krishna along, and all the gopis, they are looking at Krishna and having fun as Mother Yashoda watches on. Bhagavatam explains, Tav angri yugam anukrishya sari sprusan surpantu. This is for both Balram and Krishna. Tav means two, both. Tav angri yugam, the lotus feet of Krishna and Balram, anukrishya sari surpantu. They were crawling, Krishna and Balram, like snakes. They could not even crawl with their feet. They were crawling like snakes. As they were crawling, Mother Yashoda and Mother Rohini had put beautiful ankle bells around their little feet. And as they were crawling like snakes, Bhagavatam says, Sari Srupantu, crawling like snakes, or, slithering rather like snakes. Ghosha pragosha ruchiram vrajakardameshu Ghosha praghosha ruchiram. The ankle bells were ringing, were jingling and sounding, and the sound of the ankle bell was very, very sweet to the ears, and all the gopis were observing them, the two brothers trying to crawl. And where were they crawling? In what were they crawling? And this is the glory that Brahmaji is seeking. Vraja, of Vraja, Kardameshu. Kardama means mud. In the mud of Vraja they were crawling. Sorry. Tannadarishta manasav anusrutya lokam. Tannadarishta manasav anusrutya lokam. And by hearing, other people, other ladies were also wearing ankle bells. By hearing those ankle bells, they were thinking, oh, this is our mother. This is our mother Yashoda. This is our mother Rohini. So they were trying to crawl, following the sound of the ankle bell of the different gopis. Mugdha prabhitavat. I want to emphasize this word. Mugdha prabhitavat. Like fools, the acharyas explain. Mugdha means fool. Fool means innocent. Children are innocent. Like innocent child, they were crawling, thinking, this is my mother, hearing the ankle bells. But when they realized and looked up and realized, oh, this is not my mother, prabhitavat, bhita. Bhita means to be afraid. They became afraid, scared. Oh, where is my mother? Upe yatur antimatro. They went towards their mothers. Now, see these beautiful pastimes of the Lord, who are crawling in the mud of Vraja and who are fearful in Vraja. And Arjuna is thinking, I know, Krishna, your pastimes, of how you have acted in Vraj. And now just see, you are scared. In Vraj, you were crawling in the mud and you were scared. And I can see bhitaha. See, here also the word was bhitaha, prabhitaha, prabhitavat. Here bhitaha, bhitaha means plural, means all of them were scared. Brahma and all the demigods are scared of you. And with folded hands, they are singing your praise. So the glory of this particular verse, the beauty of this particular verse, the hidden beauty of this particular verse is that although the armies were facing each other to rule over the piece of land, Arjuna, seeing the universal form, saw Brahma along with all the demigods, scared and praying to the Lord, and all the Maharishis, Siddhas, also singing praise with many, many Vedic hymns and many, many beautiful prayers. Seeing this, Arjuna realizes that the actual fortune is not anything within this world. The real fortune is the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord of Vraja. Thank you very much. I will stop here. Sorry if I took a little bit longer.
Not at all, Kartik Chandra Prabhu. Thank you very much. That was wonderful. That was a really nice presentation, Prabhu, of this verse with, a simple verse as it is, but so much nectar you churned out of that verse, Prabhu. Thank you. Now I would like to open it to the devotees to have any comments, questions. We can go over by a few minutes today because we have the privilege of having Kartik Chandra Prabhu with us. So feel free to either unmute yourself and ask a question, or if you'd like to put a question in the chat box, I can read out to the question to Kartik Chandra Prabhu, and he'll be happy to answer. Or if you'd like to share your reflections for anything which stuck in your mind, feel free to do so, and then Kartik Chandra Prabhu can expand on that as well. So feel free to go ahead either way.
Hare Krishna, I have a question regarding the planets. So how do you assess where you are on the planets? Like if you're going downwards or upwards, how would you kind of assess where you are?
Yeah, we are all currently on the same planet Earth, and where we are heading depends on what we are preparing and how we are preparing. Just like children give their exams, and the result of the exam depends on the preparation that they've made throughout their lives. Similarly, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram. Antakale cha, antakale, at the time of death, cha. Cha literally means and in Sanskrit. So, and at the time of death. So why would you begin a sentence with and? It's not a good, it's not a good way of writing a sentence. But Krishna here says, and at the time of death, if you remember me while leaving this body, then you go up to the higher planet. And not just any higher planet. You don't go up to Brahmaloka. You go beyond Brahmaloka. You go beyond this world into my planet. If you remember me at the time of death. But then the verse says, Antakale cha, and at the time of death. What is the meaning? The meaning is, the deeper meaning is, throughout your life and at the time of death, you won't be able to remember Krishna unless you have remembered him throughout your life. A child cannot say on the day of the exam, just before the exam is about to begin, right, I know the exam's coming in the next 5 minutes. Let me now prepare for the exam, and I'll top it, I'll crack it. It cannot be done. You have to prepare throughout your 6 months, 1 year, few years, for your GCSEs, for your A levels, for your university exams, and only then can you actually crack it. Similarly, one has to prepare one's consciousness throughout the life, and then at the time of death, antakale cha, and then at the time of death, mameva, if you remember me, then you can come to me. But if we just do good karma, then what will happen? We will go up, 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 up. And ultimately, once we have enjoyed the fruits of our karma, just like you can build up your bank balance more and more and more and more, and once you've spent it all, nothing is left. You have to go back and work. You may have gotten into a retirement and you spend all your money, you go back to work. Similarly, if you exhaust all the good karma which you have built to go to the highest planet, which is Brahmaloka, again in the Bhagavad Gita it says, A Brahma Bhuvanaloka, up to Brahmaloka, even up to Brahmaloka where Brahma himself lives. A Brahma, up to Brahmaloka, A Brahma Bhuvanaloka, Punar Avartino Arjuna, you will come back. Even if you go to Brahmaloka, you'll come back. So it's not a very good proposition. Srila Prabhupada says it's not a very good proposition. He says the best proposition for us, and how do we know where we are? We are on earth, and this is the place where we can build up our karma, positive or negative. We can perform bhakti and go out of this sphere of material world, and that is what we want to aim for. So that antakale chamameva, so that we can pass our exams when we face the final exam, which is death. Hope that answers your question.
It does. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. This is Divya Gaurangi Dasi. Can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Prabhuji, is it possible to show that slide of the planetary systems that you explained nicely?
Yeah.
So in there, where the Earth planet is and the Sun and all the 9 planetary system, so that is fine. But my confusion is that, in Bhagavatam 5th canto, it is all the different varshas are mentioned. So where are they? So is this planetary system in Bharatvarsha, and where are the other Varshas then? Upper, lower, or same level?
Yeah. So have you read the 5th canto?
I've attended your class, and Suchirani, I think somewhere you mentioned the creation. It was Thursday class, I think. So I attended that, and then I
Yeah.
read
So
Gaurang
let me.
Prabhu's class. I heard, yeah.
That's fine. So let me give a quick answer. If you already read, the reason I asked is if you've read, I can give you a very quick answer. So it seems you have. So that's fine. So you see this blue mandala, which is written here. Blue
Yeah.
mandala. So
Yes.
that is the blue mandala. It's not very clear, but it's this conical shape. Can you see this conical shape where my arrow is moving?
Yes.
Yeah, that conical shape, upside down cone. Yeah?
Yes.
That
Yes.
is Bhumandala. And that, if you look from the top now, if you look at me on the camera, if you look at it from the top, it will look like this glass. You know, it is like this circle. It's a perfect circle from the top, if you look. So from the top down, not this is from the side. You're looking at this from the side view. If you look from the top view, it is a circle. And this
Yes.
circle is divided into different varshas. So this circle, so this blue Bhumandala plane, so here you're getting a side view. If you were in a helicopter watching down from Satyaloka down, then you will see a disk, and that disk is divided into the different varshas. Okay?
Oh, so that must be very huge then.
Yes. Yeah.
And
It's
there are
200,000 yojanas. Sorry?
okay, thank you. And in each Varsha, there are prayers. So there are Narsingha Dev is there, then Lord Ram
Yeah.
is there, different. So are they residing there? Then they would be below Satyaloka. So is those pastimes happening there on that level?
Yeah, you must read the 5th canto thoroughly, and you'll get the answers. So if you read the 5th canto, chapter 20 onwards, you'll get the answers to these. In brief, I'll tell you. Yes, you're right, different deities are there. So there are different deities in different varshas, and all the varshas, 9 varshas, they have different presiding deities. So, for example, the varsha that is right up north from where we are is called Hari Varsha, and over there you have the deity of Narsinghadev, for example, and Narsinghadev with Prahlad. But that is the presiding deity there. It does not mean Narsinghadev resides there, but the presiding deity of that Varsha is Narsinghadev. So, for example, Bharat Varsha, which is where we are, the presiding deity in the 5th canto of Bharat Varsha is, do you remember? Naranarayan Rishi.
Yes.
Naranarayan Rishi.
Yeah.
And so, if you go to Badrikashram, they have Badrinath Yatra. You will see Naranarayan Rishi temple. So that is the presiding deity of Bharat Varsha. And so that's and Narad Muni is the presiding. He's the presiding Vaishnava or devotee of this Varsha. So
Yes,
each Varsha has a chief deity and a chief Vaishnava who presides there. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. I'll read the chapter. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. A very silly question. Why did Krishna choose out of the whole universe to come to Vrindavan only and eat the mud?
Yes, that's not a silly question actually. So when the Lord chose to come, and this is answered in Garud Puran, it is also answered in Skanda Puran, and also indirectly answered in Padma Puran, also in Bhagavad Mahatmya. So when the Lord chooses to come, he chooses to come to a place which has the highest piety. You see, if you want to put pure water, you'll put pure water in a clean glass. You won't put pure water in a filthy place, otherwise it won't be pure anymore. So pure attracts pure. So for example, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Arjuna actually tells about Krishna, he says, Pavitram, actually, just before this chapter, Arjuna says, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. You are the purest of the pure. You are the most pure. So the Lord chooses to come to a place which is the most pure. And Bharat Bhumi is considered to be the most pure. Now, within Bharat Bhumi, the Lord chooses Vrindavan as a place. Actually, we think that first the Lord chose the place and then the Lord came. That's not how the scriptures describe it. The scriptures say there is a conversation between Radha and Krishna. And in that conversation, the Lord says, well, I have to now go down to earth to perform my pastimes. Would you come with me? And Srimati Radharani says, Yatra Vrindavano Nasti. Where there is no Vrindavan. Yatra Yamuna Nadi. Yatra Govardhano Nasti. Where there is no Govardhan, where there is no Yamuna, I will not come.
Okay.
So she said, I will come if you first take Govardhan, Yamuna, Vrindavan, then I will come.
Okay.
So the Lord first
Builds it.
He manifests his dham on earth first. And why in India? Why not in, I don't know, whatever, Norway?
America or anyway.
Why not in Antarctica, something like that? Why? Well, because the most pious place. And he then first sends first he sends his dham. Then he sends all of his personal associates. And all the devatas, they appear.
Okay.
Actually, if you read the 10th canto, first chapter, in the very first chapter it is mentioned, Brahmaji tells all the devatas, come on, get ready. All of you go and appear in Vraj. In the very first chapter of 10th canto, he says to all the devatas, now Vraj is there, now you all go and appear there. As in Mathura Mandal, you all appear. As uncles and aunts and cousins and children, all kinds of family relations of the Lord. And then the Lord will appear amongst you. So it is not like the Lord randomly appeared somewhere and then it became so special. It's not like that. Does that answer your question?
Now it makes sense why everybody has some pastime or something behind, and why Lord, liberates lots of people because of the previous pastime. Now it makes sense, actually.
Yes, because of our dear Srimati Radharani.
Yes, thank
He
you.
says, Yatra Vrindavano Nasti, where there is no Vrindavan will not come. So if she can't come, Krishna will not come. So
Yes.
Vraj has to be there, Govardhan has to be there, Yamuna, everything.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. So we'll take one more comment or a question. We have a question here from Santosh Mataji, Kartik Chandra Prabhu. She's saying, why did Krishna show his universal form to Arjuna?
Why did Krishna show the universal form to Arjuna? So as we explained, Arjuna asked for it. And he specifically asked Krishna, could you show me your universal form? Why did he ask for it? Srila Prabhupada gives a reason, which is also corroborated by all our acharyas, that anyone who claims to be an incarnation of the Lord should prove that they are an incarnation by demonstrating the universal form, like Lord Chaitanya did to Advaita Acharya and other associates, like everyone else, all the other incarnations, they have shown their majestic form. Even Lord Ramchandra showed his majestic form. So Arjuna, as Prabhupada explains in the purport, Arjuna wanted to make sure that all the future generations understand, and it goes on the record, that the Lord showed his universal form and hence proved for the foolish mass of people, Prabhupada says, who consider anyone to be God, any ordinary person to be God. He proved by showing his universal form that he indeed is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Thank you, Kartik Chandra Prabhu. We'll take one last question, Prabhu, since it has come up. This is from Vishalini Mataji. She's asking, why did Krishna eat mud in Braj?
Why did Krishna eat mud in Braj? Well, he was performing a pastime of ordinary child. So for him, eating mud was just like any other. Actually, I'm saying this, but there is one beautiful. There's one beautiful song, bhajan in Tamil, written by one of the Alvas. He says, Krishna wanted to taste the sweetness of the dust which has touched the feet of his devotees, and hence he ate the mud. So that is another explanation.
Thank you very much, Kartik Chandra Prabhu. We would like to thank all the participants who joined us and tuned us this evening. We would like to have an open invitation for you, Kartik Chandra Prabhu. Please keep us in mind whenever you're going through a lot at the moment at home. I'm aware of it, but whenever you have some time for us, do give us your association. We are trying to chant this chapter every day, as you know, so you really have an open invitation from our side. Please let us know any of the evenings where we could have your association. That will be really wonderful, Kartik Chandra Prabhu. This was a very enlightening session for all of us. Yeah, it's really nice to have you giving us your association, Kartik Chandra Prabhu.
No, thank you very much for inviting me. And I think these devotees, this Sangha is in wonderful hands. Being with yourself, Vrindarika Mataji, Vrindavan Chandra Prabhu, and all of the others, Mukundhari Prabhu, etc. So I am only a servant of all of you. So you're all Dhamavasis. I'm just your servant.
Great.
So thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhu. I would like to request the devotees, if anybody has any more reflections, Kartik Chand Prabhu is on the chat group, on the WhatsApp group of our chat. If not, I'll add him. Please feel free to share your reflections as you do. I'm sure Kartik Chand Prabhu would be inclined and very happy to see the reflections you had from this session. And if you have any questions, you can also put it onto the group, and at his own time, I'm sure Kartik Chand Prabhu can help answer those questions as well. I have a couple of reflections before we go. It's from Divya Gaurang. One question is, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for such, no, these are reflections. Thank you for such a charismatic, enlightening, and a clear discussion of Lord Krishna. Divya Gaurangi Mataji is saying, thank you very much, Prabhuji, for a very wonderful class and for explanation to my query. Hope you can give us class often in our chat group. Thank you very much for that. Yashini Mataji is saying, thank you for the lovely class. Rupa Mataji is saying, mind-blowing class, Kartik Chand Prabhu. Hema Mataji is saying, very nourishing class. And Bhagwati Mataji is saying, amazing class. Jagruti Mataji is saying, thank you very much, Kartik Chand Prabhu. Thank you. So thank you, Kartik Chand Prabhu. As I said, it'll be nice to have you regularly with us. So do consider that. If not, at least whenever you are available, please, I will check in with you every now and then, Prabhu, now to see when you're available. We like to have your association. It's nice to have you recovered completely. I know you went through a lot. So it's really good to have your association. Okay, devotees, I wanted to share with all of you and thank you for your participation in the Bhadra Purnima, which very wonderfully concluded this morning in a wonderful yagya, which took place in Ahobilam. The link of the yagya, I will share it with all of you. The recording will be available. All of your names were offered in the Ahuti, and you will see it coming through in the link as well, hopefully. And we will share the results with all of you over the weekend. Either myself or Vrindavan Chand Prabhu will share the results. It has been a very successful campaign all over the world this year, actually. So we'll share more details over the weekend. Until then, please look after yourselves, stay safe, maintain the social distancing, and keep the transcendental vibration going. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Kartik Chand Prabhu. One
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Prabhuji, wonderful class.
Haribol.
Thank you
Jai
so
Shri
much,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Krishna Prabhu.